Hello everyone. If you've watched my other videos, you know what a fan I am of knives and weaponry. I just picked this knife up, and I think it might be one of my better buys I've ever had. It's a hand-forged knife. Seen a lot of use. Very well made. Fits the hand good. And if you look here on the guard, it says the initials WFM. And what I'm fairly sure this is a knife by William Moran. If you're unfamiliar with William Moran, he is like the ultimate to have when it comes to hand-forged knives. I'll give you a short history of him here. He was born May 1st, 1925 and died February 12th, 2006. He was a knife maker who founded the American Bladesmith Society and reintroduced the process of making welded steel to modern knife making. Basically discovered how to make Damascus steel. Moran's knives were sought after by celebrities and heads of state. The W.F. Moran School of Bladesmithing bears his name, and in addition to founding the ABS, he was a Blade Magazine Hall of Fame member and a president of the Knife Makers Guild. He was born on a farm here in Maryland near Lime Kiln, like I said, 1925. He learned the craft of blacksmithing by trial and error. He made his first knife at the age of 12, and by 14 he was making knives to sell. As a teenager, he taught himself how to forge a blade, obtaining advice from local blacksmiths, although in a 2003 interview with the Washington Post, Moran says he was getting all the wrong answers from them. And by the 1950s, he was publishing a catalog selling his forged blades. In 1960, he sold the family farm to become a full-time knife maker. That's when he started up the Lime Kiln. A lot of his knives are marked Lime Kiln after that. So I think this knife was made before 1960, if indeed it is a Moran. Moran forged his knives using a cold forge in the manner of a blacksmith, using a hammer and anvil to shape the steel. In the 1950s, he was one of the few blacksmiths in the United States forging his metal as opposed to grinding blades out of stock. Moran began trying to revive the ancient process of forging Damascus steel in the late 1960s. However, no living blacksmith knew the exact techniques, and without a recipe for the process, it was in danger of being lost. Through trial and error, he taught himself pattern welding and referred to it as Damascus steel. You getting all this? 1972, Moran was elected to the president of Knife Makers Guild. The following year, he unveiled his Damascus knife at the Guild and created a revival of interest in a forged blade. In 1976, he founded the American Bladesmith Society, a group of knife makers dedicated to preserving the forged blade and educating the public about traditional bladesmithing techniques. Back in the 1960s, by the mid-1960s, Moran had a 10-year wait to get one of his knives. By 1970, he had a 20-year wait to get one of his knives. By that point, he stopped taking deposits and orders. He sold knives to such celebrities as Sylvester Stallone and members of royalty, including Queen Elizabeth II and King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia. I actually believe that King Abdullah visited him in his shop in Lime Kiln. It's too bad I didn't learn about him soon enough. His shop would have only been an hour's drive for me. The most expensive knife he made, he sold to Sylvester Stallone for $7,000, and it had over 30 feet of silver wire in the handle. I'd love to see what that looked like. He died of cancer in 2006. After his death, one of his Bowie knives sold for $30,000 at auction. So, pretty good. I've always been on the lookout for a Moran knife. I know there's probably some around here. He also made kitchen knives. So I've always thought maybe I'll come across one at a yard sale. I didn't get this at a yard sale. I got this from a guy who kind of thought it was a Moran knife. He bought it from a guy at a gun show who thought the initials on there was the owner's initials. But the guy I got it from had a suspicion, as do I. But this is his style of knife. It's hand forged. It has his initials. I think this is his. Not 100% sure. So if you can add a little information to it, let me know. So one of my better buys. So among modern day bladesmiths, there's no name better known than that of Bill Moran. And I feel lucky to have one of his knives, or hopefully one of his knives. Definitely something I'm going to be keeping.